podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most Feel Better. And today we have an inspiring guest who is all about transforming careers and mindsets. Our guest today is the founder and CEO of Career Evolved, who specializes in helping high achieving professionals upgrade their career through powerful and transformative mindset work. Her approach goes beyond the traditional methods, diving deep into the mindset shifts that are necessary for their true career involvement and long-term success. In today's episode, they will share their insights on the importance of mindset in achieving career goals, the strategies they use to help her clients reach new heights, and how you can apply those principles to your own career journey. Whether you're looking to take your career to the next level or seeking a fresh perspective on professional growth, the conversation is going to be packed with valuable advice and inspiration. So get ready to evolve your career with some incredible insights. And then welcome the transformative Olivia Gamber to the show. Olivia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Phil. That was a really kind introduction. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I always try and hype up my guests because you guys have all this amazing knowledge and I'm just the host. So I have to do something to seem relevant in the podcast. But with all that said and done, I'm very excited to have you here. So my first question is, why did you want to become an entrepreneur and leave the corporate world?
Yeah, so I get this question all the time because obviously I'm helping people within the corporate world upgrade their career, get more purpose, and I chose a different path. And for me, it really came down to freedom and purpose. And so, I was in a field called organizational development. My background's in organizational psychology, and I got into human resources because I really thought I wanted to make an impact on people. And, unfortunately, though, what I discovered is even though I was leading a huge team in a department, I wasn't feeling that direct impact that I wanted to have on someone's life. That fulfillment I was looking for wasn't there. So as I was rapidly climbing the career ladder, I got a lot of people reaching out to me asking for advice. And I started to realize that there was an entire opportunity there to not only help people navigate their career, but have a huge impact and make a huge income doing it. So I started to do it on the side. And then, of course, the energy, the passion, the connection, the intimacy of that type of work just really drew me down that path where I could not get enough of it. And so I had to take the leap and go all in on that journey. And here I am.
I'm curious, did you have any entrepreneurial friends, family members, or were you like one of the first to delve into the world of entrepreneurship?
It was me. I was the first one. So thank God for podcasts like yours and things out there, because I felt like those were my mentors along the way, is just really plugging in early. I was always dreaming of that freedom and that not necessarily being on the beach, right, with the 4-hour work week, but I always wanted to have that empowerment of truly having full control over the vision and the mission of the company that I worked for.
I like that. And did you feel any pushback from your family? Because I know a lot of us, when we go into the entrepreneurial world, we either have immediate support. Our family's like, yeah, go for it. You can do it. Or we have on the flip side, it's, what the hell are you thinking? What are you doing? That's not safe.
You're absolutely right. I come from a more traditional family that both of my parents were in education. They went a very traditional route. So there was a lot of fear of, what about your benefits and what's going to happen? And, I think there's a lot of fear around taking an unpaved path that no one's seen before, or no one really truly understand. Most people from my family community never invested in career consulting, career coaching. That just sounded absurd to them. So it can be really tough early on when you're going down a path where your community around you doesn't understand it. It can really get in your head and make you question, is this the right path? Am I being foolish? Am I being too in the clouds? And, thankfully, I had enough maybe one or two people I could actually call that would validate, you know what, you gotta go down this path. You will not be happy if you go back to that HR path. So there were times where it would take me a while to call down my list to find someone that could tell me what I wanted to hear, right? To keep me going.
I love that. I love it. And I'm guessing now they're much more supportive, seeing the success that you have. Have you received requests now? Like, I know you work in the helping people evolve their career, but have you had some people coming and asking you how to start their own journey in the entrepreneurial world, or are you still far off from those type of questions?
Yeah, a lot of people are asking that too, because now that I've scaled my company and they're really impressed by the marketing and the team that I've built. So they want to understand, how to get clients, how do I, make money, right? And that's really the big uh, question every entrepreneur early on has is how can I actually get people to pay me? So that's typically where it goes is just how to sell, how to position their talent. And that's something that I get all the time, even with my clients now. They think they want a job, but really they want more purpose, more alignment, more fulfillment. And sometimes that means they're going to work for themselves and get clients. So it's something that comes up all the time.
I love that. In your journey, being a advancer of careers, if you will, and evolving those careers, has there been a moment where you feel that you need to step to the next level to evolve you as an individual?
Yeah, right now I'm going through a growth spurt because I recently started to serve now the top 1% in the country. So, like CEOs, and helping them get roles. They don't need tactical and simple advice. They want someone to actually get board members, PE firms, the types of people that are really hard to get at their attention and get a meeting with them. And this is it's not an easy challenge to navigate and serve and provide those results. But I continue to evolve, just like the name of my company. I'm always kind of looking for that expansion and challenge because, I've been doing this for 10 years. I can literally talk career jobs in my sleep. I've seen it all. There's nothing that really surprises me. But this next group I just talked about, these CEOs, C-suite people that, some of them make seven figures a year total comp. It's not easy to not only find the right companies that can afford them, but then also get them to agree to a meeting and properly position that talent, right? So it's a new challenge, it's a new space that I've been operating in, and sometimes it's stressful because it's more pressure, right? But I think a part of us wants that pressure because that's where the growth happens, right?
Yeah, it is where the growth happens. It's that uncomfortable section because that's where you grow, you become the better version of yourself. When since you've been doing this for a decade now, and you're probably going to be doing it for another decade in the new evolution of your career, well, you're still helping the others with your company. How do you deal with the fear of failure? Because, like, obviously you've been helping people advance to get to the C level, because that's where most people want to go. They want to become CEOs and C-suite executives. But now you're dealing with those people. Those are already, successful. They've climbed the corporate ladder. They're looking for the next one. Did you, when you first stepped into it, how did you deal with that fear, that or imposter syndrome? Because yes, you are CEO of your own company, but it's not a Fortune 500, or
Mhm.
normally making seven figures in the compensation, 7, 8 figures in those compensations. How did you deal with that, like, imposter syndrome when it came about?
For me, it really came down to becoming aware of that internal dialogue. I'm big on mindset and really being holding space to process that fear because that fear is really valuable energy if you can channel it towards action because that fear is just really where that upper limit is, and there's also a lot of desire and excitement of what's on the other side of this. So for me, I'm kind of one of those, like, unique people where I'm like, oh, there's fear. I'm curious. I feel alive again. Because normally it's like, okay, I've seen this 100 times. I already know what you're going to say before you're going to say it. Like, when you get so good at what you do
Mhm.
and you just know. And so it kind of wakes me up when I feel fear and I get curious about it, right? Where's this coming from? Is it that I don't think I can do it? Well, what do I need, right? And start to get curious instead of try to shut it down and pretend like it's not there. So for me, I try to really hold space to think, well, what do I need to let go of this fear? And I was like, well, I could use some support. I could use some guidance, some counsel, right? And that's when, getting in the room with other C-suite people, I ended up building a partnership with the C-suite network. And now I've got access to really high level counsel and people that want to help me. And yeah, I did make an investment in that, but that's what I realized at the next level. Let go of the ego. Don't try to do it alone. I don't have to anymore. I've got resources, I've got support, and just continue to remind myself it's not all on me. I'm not doing this alone, and I don't have to do it alone to prove anything. I really should look to leverage all the resources and people that I can to really properly serve these clients, right?
I want to touch on how you made that investment into being connected with these high level individuals. Um, did you, when you first started, did you invest in mentors and coaches to help you get along on that way? Or was it something that you had to learn, that you had to ask for help to get to the next level?
Absolutely not, because I think if you're going to sell a high ticket service, you should be investing in that as well to be able to experience and embody that person that can deliver that value. So my whole path was investing because money loves speed, right? So for me, I always wanted it fast. Have the I didn't want it to be done cheaply. I wanted it fast. So I invested in coaches, mentors, courses, masterminds. I've done a lot. And if I didn't, there's no way I would have grown so quickly, so rapidly, and be able to scale without that type of support. Because you can't really Google your way there with these types of things. There's just too much ambiguity.
It's very true. Um, with your career so far, you went from being in the HR space, doing that, and then helping people on the side, and now you're going to the next level. What is a common issue that you see your clients having, be it the obviously the C-suites is trying to get into the door of the next level and knocking on that door. The people moving up to the C-suites, what are some of the common issues or problems that they face in their journey?
The C-suite, the ones that would hire us to campaign and market them on their behalf, it's honestly, they're really great at what they do. They're elite level leaders and operators and business professionals. But when it comes to marketing themselves, there's a lot of blind spots because it's just not something they have to do regularly. They're used to everyone coming and selling to them and being on that side of the table. So they're not used to being on the other side of the table where now they've got to drive that brand awareness and follow up and sell and be that person to do business development for themselves. So because that's a very different position and more vulnerable position to be in, a lot of folks will hire someone like me because one, they don't want to do it, and two, they have the money. So it is kind of a great sweet spot for us because we're able to provide that value and help provide a mirror for them of what they're not seeing in this process because they're not used to being in this position, and it can be overwhelming and kind of stressful.
I'm wondering if you're able to provide us maybe an example or a case study where someone's mindset, you help switch it so that they were able to get into that gear they needed to move on in their career.
I think the biggest limiting belief that most people come to us with is the assumption that they can't have what they want. Either there's not enough opportunity, or they don't feel worthy, they don't feel like they can compare. And that's because typically by the time they get to us, they've been hitting a brick wall, right? They've thrown a lot out there, it's not coming back, they feel stuck, they feel stagnant, they're starting to question their self-worth and their value. And so it's really trying to get people recommitted and reconnected to that vision, that goal. Because a lot of times the hardest thing is they don't believe they can have it. And if they don't believe they can have it, we've lost before we started. They don't believe it's possible. So there's a lot of cynicism out there, especially right now with the way the market is. It's competitive, it's intense. There's a lot of big tech layoffs happening, like
Mhm.
people, really great talent out there right now. And so this has a lot of people feeling jaded, like they're just a number with these mass tools of AI. Like people are clicking and applying to hundreds of jobs with a click of a mouse. So it makes people feel just like it's impossible to get attention. So they feel like they don't matter. And so getting people really to see, hey, there is a way to get that attention. If you're ready to get uncomfortable, change your behavior, and really own this process and change the way you're thinking about it. Are you open if there was a way? And so if there's some openness there, now I know they're ready to shift their perspective and stop focus on what's not happening, what's broken, nobody's calling me, I must not have any opportunity, maybe it's just too competitive, maybe I need to take a pay cut, right? To, well, what if there was a way I could start to get these connections and build these strategic relationships to still win even in these conditions? And that's really, I mean, leaders do more. Winners will win in any market because they believe and are committed to doing what it takes to win, right? So that's really where we got to get them back to that powerful, empowered place. And it doesn't happen overnight. It can take work. We have them do really basic mindset rituals to start to condition their focus and that internal dialogue, because it's so easy to fall down into that dark hole and just focus on everything that's not happening. And it really deflates all motivation.
No, I can remember my period of darkness, and it wasn't a fun time, and it was very, very difficult to pull myself out of there. Um, if you could provide maybe some advice to the audience, maybe some techniques to help them start shifting their mindset so that they can start getting into that groove of, oh, stuff is better on like just a few, I can see that light instead of seeing just concentrating on the darkness. What kind of advice or maybe practices that you can share with us?
Yeah, so one that I love is called 50 Reasons Why. And when you're competing like at a top level, I think my field's really competitive. There's a lot of people that do what we do. But what I do know is they do not do it with the level of conviction, energy, and passion. So when you have 50 reasons why, like for example, it's a bargain to hire me at 250,000. Most people have trouble coming up with 50 reasons, let alone reading those reasons every day, because a belief is just a thought that's been thought multiple times. But having that level of conditioning and belief stacking and really targeted belief building work, it really, after 30 days of somebody reading their 50 reasons why, I kid you not, like they sound like a different person, because they've been priming that identity that not only knows their value, but is internalizing it. I am this, I am that, all the 50 reasons why they're worth that. Most people don't have that level of ownership of their value and conviction in their value. And it gets people out of their head. It gets them more decisive. It gets their tone to come across stronger because they're less calculated and, hesitant. So it just, that simple exercise really is extremely transformational. I see it over and over again for people that do it. And yeah, just try it out, because you'll, even just forcing yourself to get to 50 reasons why I'm amazing, if it's not about money, right? But you'll start to feel that shift internally, emotionally, and it comes through with how you move the rest of that day.
I can see how impressive and powerful, because you it does start forcing you to think about every part of you, and you realize how amazing you are. Because coming up with 10 reasons why I'm amazing, everybody can do that. Oh, it's because I'm this, I'm that. But going down to 50, now you're like, you really are going into the weeds of who you are.
Yeah.
I'm curious, where did you learn that technique? Was it something that you've always had, or was it something a mentor or you read in a course?
So yeah, I've gotten so much mindset training and courses that I kind of tend to piece together ideas and evolve it into my own. So it's been kind of like a combination because everybody knows about affirmations, right?
Mhm.
But like focusing on the value part of it is what the specific belief I want to target for my clients because that's really what their goal is around. So I think that belief stacking is something people use across the board, whether it's for relationships, self worth, how they look, right? But for this one, it's more about that monetary value because I think that's something that most people struggle with and why they're underpaid. And they continue to kind of rationalize why they are willing to accept a lot less than they're truly worth.
Mhm. When you start with a client and they're kind of in that negative mindset because they've been, applying for these things, trying to get bigger. um, Obviously you get them to start with the 50 reasons why they're valuable. Is there, after you've got them to do that, do you find that it's a little easier, or did you I don't know how to ask this question, that's the problem. But um when you have someone who's having difficulty breaking through that negative barrier, because everyone's different, some are have a bigger barrier than others. If that 50 reasons why doesn't really break down that barrier, what is it that how do you communicate to them that they are that valuable and that you will be able to help them get to the next level?
And so that's deeper work, right? Some people have maybe they had a toxic boss and that just really talked down to them and they started to internalize that, right? And those are self-limiting beliefs. So part of our process is identifying everybody's got different self-limiting beliefs. Maybe it's I'm too old, I don't nobody sees me as a leader or whatever, right? Like they have these self-limiting beliefs that keep them from fully committing to their goal. And so they start to self sabotage, they'll procrastinate, they'll avoid, they'll make excuses, they'll deflect. That's all a symptom of their self limiting beliefs. So that's when we know that's a mindset as the root cause. And I know most career coaches are focused on resumes and tactics, but what we found is like until that self limiting belief is removed and replaced, it doesn't matter. We could give them a list of contacts that could hire them tomorrow and they still won't message them because of those internal beliefs, right? And so
Mhm.
it's such a it's deep work that a lot of people want to ignore because they don't see how it's relevant to that outcome, but it's ultimately the root cause that keeps people stuck for years.
Mhm. um, with your career and with what you're doing, um, I'm curious, where do you see yourself as the CEO of Career Evolved, and where do you see Career Evolve going in the next decade? Like, we're a decade ahead. What are you doing, Olivia, and what is Career evolved into?
Yeah, so I am still seeing myself as what I could see myself evolving into is someone that not only is still owning and running Career Evolve, but also evolving how I'm showing up to guide folks. Because knowing myself, I like new. I don't get me wrong, I can continue to do boring things. You don't build a company without doing really monotonous stuff. But for me, as a creative, I need that fresh, new skill, new challenge. So I could see myself wanting to advise other business owners, potentially become angel investors, types of strategic counsel, on business owners, but I really do see Career Evolve scaling to a place where I'm more the talent and face of the brand and less the operator of the business. I don't think it's going to take 10 years to get to that point. That's something that's really important to me because I want that freedom, right? For me, I've got a very spiritual side to me. So my spirit really wants to see the world. I want to travel the world. I want to be able to experience as much of this planet as I can. So creating a role that allows more location independence, less me at a desk, so that I can have more inspiration to bring back to Career Evolved and how we can continue to, keep it fresh, innovate our products, our solution, our brand, our message. So for me, it's really ultimately, I've always wanted to sell the company down the line just because it would be tough to not consider that opportunity when you've built something that could sell for 5x multiple, and to get that cash would be absolutely life changing. So that has crossed my mind.
If you do, let's go on to this. If you do end up selling Career Evolve, would you venture into angel investing into companies and become sort of a VA, not a VA, an
VC.
investor, a VC. Thank you, VC for other companies while providing the skills that you have evolved over the years?
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to get to collaborate with other amazing CEOs and play a role in the direction of their company just through strategic advice and counsel. I think that sounds extremely exciting to me because then it's an excuse to connect and support amazing humans, and that sounds like fun to me. And I could see myself building another spin-off of Career Evolved because that Career Evolved's the second one of these that I've built. So the other one was with a business partner. So I could see myself doing another spin-off of Career Evolved even after selling Career Evolved because I don't think that I could stay out of the game. I would find a way to be back in it just because I know myself. I like to be in the game.
I like that. I like how you call it a game instead of a career. It's a game because you can always evolve and level up your character, if you will. Um, what do you do on your downtime? How do you recharge your batteries after a hectic week of back-to-back meetings and stress meetings and all those fun things that come with running a company? How do you just take time to recharge your batteries?
I love music and I love being outside. So for me, it's just getting away from the screens is so important because it's like there's always more work to be done. There's always messages and emails to respond to, and you can always feel like you're never quite where you want to be and in terms of just productivity. So I just need that space, at least like a full, I'd say at least 6 hours away from a screen on the weekend to feel like I'm revitalized because that's when you finally unpack as an entrepreneur what actually happened this week. Having space away from it allows you to see what actually happened and what you need to adjust. So for me, I think just having that space, it never really turns off. It's just in us because it's our passion, our mission, our calling. And it's really, I don't even try to turn it off anymore. I just try to calm it down and slow it down at least. Because when you move slower, you just see things a lot differently than in the moment when you're like moving and in back-to-back meetings, right? You can't even process what just happened today. So the weekend are a place for me to go hiking, be outside, and really unpack, and reflect on what just happened this week. What am I happy about? What do I want to change? What's going well? And having that space. And then music is huge for me. It's just so revitalizing. I love arts, music. I'm big on like reading, watching sports. I like to do things that are absolutely just I do a lot of things that just make no sense, right? That are I'm addicted to TikTok. That's not good, but I do love it. So I consume a lot of cool content like podcasts. I watch videos. I think it keeps me fresh to get to just watch creative things without a business outcome tied to it, if that makes sense.
No, it perfectly does. I'm don't worry, you're not the only one addicted to TikTok. I am as well. Um, and I'm open to admit it. It does provide that like your brain to just turn off and you get to do that enjoyment while your
Exactly.
subconscious is just going through all the problems, right? You turn off your frontal lobe and get to laugh at the doggies. My algorithm is pretty much just dogs doing silly things, which is great for your mental health because who doesn't love a good dog or a cat or any animal? I'm not hating on any animals. I'm just a dog person. Um, you mentioned that you read. Now, when you're reading, are you reading business oriented books or are you looking at those the fantasy types books? Or I say fantasy, I'm nonfiction, non-relevant to your career type books, or are you just like, no, I'm reading business all day, every day for the life of my life?
No, I don't. Because all I do is talk business 24/7. So when I'm reading, it's more about just like I read the McConaughey book, and I thought that was just really inspiring to hear his story and all the adventures. And I likes to read things that inspire ideas because for me, business can become a grind if you aren't doing it to create something you're genuinely looking forward to. So like for me, that's new experiences. Like, oh, what can I do with this impact, with this power, with this income? Like the numbers and the P&L and the profit, that doesn't really light me up, even though it is part of the scoreboard in business, right? So to me, it's not really fulfilling or inspiring. And I think for the most part, I do like to kind of just keep in touch with more like inspiring stories, like people's autobiographies and things like that, that are more like gonna kind of reignite my spirit on the journey versus more information, more information, more information. And it just can overload you and kind of drain you when you're constantly intaking more information.
I'm curious about your biographies because I'm a avid reader as well. I love all types of books. Right now, I'm in my fantasy genre period. But moving to those autobiographies, is there one that you find that you keep going back to, even though you have like a stack of books that you need to read? Because as an avid reader, we do have those stacks of books that you're like, you feel guilty that they're just sitting there not being read. But is there one that you come back to and you're like, this keeps helping me every time I read it?
I'm trying to think of one that I really love, but it's not an autobiography. It's this book I've read a few times, and it's like the most simple book, but it's called The Go Giver.
Hmm.
And it's all about basic principles of essentially humans and what actually achieves at a high level are people that are focused on serving and how they're showing up and like just very simple principles that are I think life changing because I those are the books that I love because they're so simple but they're so profound and they're so moving like they move you. They like change something in you every time you read it. It's just the stories that tied to the principles that were so simple, but seeing them play out, it's really moving. And every time I read it, I'm like, it still inspires me every time.
Well, I just wrote it down because that does sound. I saw your face light up when you were starting saying that, and I'm like, okay, that when you see someone who's passionate about business and life light up about a certain subject, you're like, I have to see why they're lighting up, why they're like they think this is such a good book or movie or course or whatever it is, because it means that it's touched them, it's changed the person in fundamental ways. And if a book like that has helped you get to where you are, I'm thinking I'm going to take just a peek at it, gander, if you will. Um, we are coming to the end of the episode, which I despise. I always despise leaving episode because I feel like we could talk probably for hours about all the fun stuff. But I have your 10-year-old self here, Olivia. She's amazing. She's fun. She's laughing all kinds. But I would love to know what kind of advice would you love to give to your 10-year-old self?
Yeah, you know what? That's such a powerful question, and I think I want to just keep it simple. And it's safe to follow your heart, because I think that at such an early age, we kind of get conditioned to stay in our head and do what's practical or what feels safe based on what we've already seen happen in our environment. And being able to truly follow your heart, I think, is the ultimate path for a fulfilling life, but also for an advantage in business. Because there's something about someone that truly has that heart in the game that they play and the love of the game that you play. And when you love the game you play, there's a level of commitment that's just absolutely unmatched. And so I would say it's safe to follow your heart and really commit to that lifestyle. Don't let anyone pull you off of that path, because what is for you will feel good in your heart.
I love it. I think that's some great advice following the heart. Um, I'm going to jump off stage here, Olivia, and decompress and understand that meaning. But I want you to let my audience know if they're looking to evolve their career or get in touch with you, if they're a high level CEO looking for some help, how they can get in touch with you and how they can work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone that's, whether you're looking to break into, six-figure roles, or you're an executive wanting to upgrade your career, or you're a CEO wanting more white glove services, you can check us out at www.careerevolvedwithad.com, or you can add me on LinkedIn, Olivia Gamber. Shoot me a message on there. I'm posting free training and content every day on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Olivia, I want to thank you so much for being an awesome guest here today and sharing your wonderful story and some great advice to the audience. I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you so much, Phil. Great questions, great conversation.
Thank you. To my audience, as always, I thank you for listening. Make sure you check out the show notes down below to connect with Olivia and take your career to the next evolved state. I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you, Olivia. And as always, remember to invest in yourself.